Many people, when starting to learn machine learning and especially deep learning, they will get all these ideas, maybe that they have to first learn linear algebra, or, what machine should they get? Should they get this type of GPU or that type of GPU? Should they go for a desktop or a specialized laptop? Or maybe should they use a machine in the cloud, GCP or AWS? And the problem with that is that before they get to learning machine learning, they get crushed by the absolute complexity of all these other side journeys that they set out on. So let's just look at what it takes to start using a cloud VM. If you're starting where from scratch, essentially, with no prior knowledge. So let's see here. Well, first you have to learn how to use the GCP or AWS UI, Cloud UI. And setting things up there is not easy. It's not as you're just pressing a button and you start the VM, but you have to learn the navigation. You have to learn what each of the concepts mean. And for somebody just starting out, that might not be simple at all. Then you have to learn how to SSH into the machine. So you have to learn about key authentication. Once you're in the machine, you have to figure out, hey, how do I install the stuff that I actually need? Then, so you have the software installed, the libraries that you will be using to do the actual work. But how do you do the work? How do you program on the cloud VM? Do you use VS Code to connect to it and edit the code there? Do you use Jupyter Notebook, which is probably the best choice? But if you started on the cloud VM, how do you gain access to it? Do you expose ports and make them available on a public IP? Again, that is not easy to carry out from a technical standpoint. Or do you do SSH tunneling? So it's another thing that you have to learn about how to do. And the complexity just built on top of itself. And before you get a chance to get to doing machine learning or deep learning, you are completely exhausted. You might never get to the point where you actually get to practice machine learning because you will have spent 3 months trying to set these things up, trying to decide what to go for, what solution to go for, reading blog posts, not doing anything. And this is absolutely a horrible scenario. So what should you do instead? Well, there is a wonderful programming principle that goes by the name KISS. So keep it simple. And this is the only way you can guarantee that your efforts actually go where they make a difference. So what does this look like in the context of learning machine learning? Well, pick a course and start doing the exercises for that course. Come up with your own homework and do it on the hardware that you already have available or that you can access at the click of a button using your internet browser, right? Like instead of trying to figure out how to set up your own GPU rig, you can just use Kaggle kernels or any of the free offerings. What would it be? I guess Google Colab right now, right? That you can access via your browser. And of course, this is not optimized. This will not allow you to work on arbitrarily large data. But if you're just starting out, you're not even there, right? You first need to start traversing some distance on learning machine learning, on learning deep learning, seeing that you're able to make some progress before you can jump to these more complex applications. And the progress that you will be making, the results that you will start getting, this will give you the fuel to power you along the journey, right? So if you have some success and you can see that, hey, this is already working, it's very easy then to start picking up additional skills, but you will be picking them up in a much more intelligent way because you will know exactly what you need. So, hey, you finish this one project for the course that you're working on, and you'd like to do something similar, and you see that, oh, I have to work with, 500 gigabytes of data. Maybe you want to experiment with training on ImageNet. Why not? Obviously, this is something that can result in a very interesting blog post, but this is not something that you can achieve using the hardware that you'll get for free off the internet. But at that point, you already know what you're looking for. So you're looking for a lot of storage, and you're looking for some ability to train on it. And this makes the setup much simpler. You know what you're aiming for, and it's much easier then for you to hit the target. You can also ascertain if that's something that makes sense to invest your energy into. But I guess what makes sense to have at the back of your mind is, if you're starting to learn deep learning, you're not setting out to train a large language model, right? You're trying to do something else. And that's why everything that surrounds learning actual concepts, developing models on data, seeing how they work, this is something that you need to minimize, all that surrounding stuff, and focus where your energy can give you the best bang for the buck. Now, the interesting thing is that once you learn machine learning to some level, you can then start applying these thought processes that worked in the context of learning machine learning to other endeavors. And this is exactly what is happening in my life right now, that I'm trying to improve on creating YouTube videos. And I'm running into all these considerations, and I'm trying to copy how the pros are creating videos once they have, 100,000 subscribers, or, 1 million subscribers, and they can bang out these polished, great looking videos, really scripted. I learned of the approach that they're taking, but I'm absolutely crushed by the complexity that it takes to power that system. So let me tell you what this looks like and what I'm doing instead. And maybe this can help you with thinking about your journey as somebody who is about to learn machine learning, or who started to learn machine learning. So let me show you what that looks like. So you see, I've set up this video home base, and this follows the patterns of what some of the very successful YouTubers are doing. We're looking at Notion here, and just look at this. This is just one view of the table. And I'm just so crushed right now by the complexity of it. I spent on this half a day entering this data here, but I don't even know how to engage with that. Look, so titles, thumbnails, script, research, this all makes sense once you are at some level of capability, right? Like, okay, so creating a thumbnail and title, that's something that the pros do before they start recording, because whether a video will get views or not depends very much on whether somebody will click on the thumbnail, and they might be attracted by the title or not, but this is not how I operate right now. This is just way too complex. I need a quick turnaround on these videos. I need to have a lot of time on camera, a lot of time talking on the microphone. Just like when you're learning to do machine learning, you need to have a lot of time that you're investing into setting up the project. So starting with a baseline, reading in the data, building on the baseline, which is, slowly growing, organically slowing a solution to your machine learning problem. You need to get into the swing of things. You need to start small and put in a lot of iterations. You cannot work on just a single project that will take you 3 months, because that's not how you will learn. That's not how anyone learns. So take a look here. The pottery class parable is one of my favorite little stories that really exemplifies how we learn. So I'm not exactly sure. I think that there was an actual research done to this effect, but essentially there was a pottery class where students were split into two groups, and in one group the students were asked, okay, over the next 30 days you're supposed to work on this one beautiful vase that you have to produce, and you can polish it, you can spend the next 30 days but just on this single project. And in the other group the students were told, listen, your goal is to produce as many vases, as many pottery artifacts as you can, and just keep working on it. We would like you to produce one thing every day, right? And over this period of time, both groups worked towards the goals that were set for them. And it turns out that at the end of that period, when the quality was judged, it turned out that the best artifacts came from the group that focused on the quantity and not the quality, right? So there is deep wisdom here. If you're learning something, you have to absolutely put in the iterations. This is how we learn, and you have to set up the system around you to put in the iterations. So it is absolutely true that once you can stand your ground in machine learning, short projects that you will invest 1 or 2 days into, they will not impress anyone. The longer projects, like winning a Kaggle competition, or by winning I mean essentially getting into the gold medal zone, or creating a project that can do something impressive, like, I don't know, maybe generate music, that maybe show something interesting when it comes to unsupervised learning. These type of projects can be great, can put your foot in the door of people who might want to hire you. But if you're learning, you're not there yet. So coming back to my video home base example, I'm throwing this out the window. I know that this is a horrible approach. Now I know, because I was crushed by the complexity of it all. It's paralyzing. Like, I cannot, I don't even know how to create thumbnails and titles. And if I were to follow this process of, I will probably put out a single video every 2 months, and this will not get me anywhere. I need a way where I can put out a video every week, maybe every couple of days, and it cannot absolutely kill my productivity to do other things, right? So it needs to be, in a sense, compartmentalized. It needs to be a small project. So I can tell you, we can set up a new video home base together, and it will look something like this: video home base. And I will just have pages. I don't know. Let's see, what video do I want to create next? Oh, I had one on my timeline. Essentially, somebody asked me on Twitter today what was the timeline of me learning machine learning and getting to where I am right now, which is having a full-time job at NVIDIA, where I started from essentially nothing, from not being even able to program. So let's see here. From not being able to program to a full-time ML job, my timeline. Boom, I have the title right here. Now I can script the video, which for me scripting will be just very basic, outline the couple of things I want to talk about. I thought about this before already, so I will create some slide where I will work back from where I am today to my beginnings, and show the progression, how that all happened. And that's essentially it. So all I need is a couple of sentences here, some visuals, and I can start recording. And this is what is appropriate to where I am right now. So it's fundamental that as you're learning machine learning, as you're learning deep learning, that you don't try to emulate OpenAI, who has an enormous budget and who has a lot of very experienced people working on things. That you maybe don't try to emulate people who are now working on projects where they want them to be polished, to be impressive, so that they can use them as part of the portfolio to advancing their career. But you have to look back at what people did back when they were learning this stuff, when they were in your position, and who went on to doing things that you find fun, that you want to do in life as well. Because I assure you that the way I'm spending my time right now is completely different to how I spent my time when I was learning machine learning, when I was doing the Fast AI course. So depending where you are in life, you have to emulate the behavior of the person you want to, whose outcomes you want to mirror, but at the time that is appropriate to you. So I will not be investing all my money into creating a single video that might look like Mr. Beast video. No, I will rather get into a time machine, see what Mr. Beast did when he was starting his YouTube career, and emulate his behavior from back then. And I'm not even after becoming a YouTuber, because that's not entirely my motivation. But I want to follow the proper process of learning this stuff. So I hope that this has been inspiring, and that this can help you make progress in your journey. If it does, please let me know. If you have any questions, please let me know in the comments. And also, it would be a great help to me growing this channel if you like this video and subscribe. Thank you so much for tuning in. Take care. See you around.